Welcome to Monday Momentum on Communicate to Lead. I'm Kele Belton, and if you're a woman in leadership ready to step into your full potential, you are in the right place. This month on Monday Momentum, we're looking at the difficult conversations you walk into braced for a fight and reframing what each one actually is. Because the way you name a conversation before you walk into it shapes everything that happens inside it. Today, we start with the one that comes up most often for women leaders, disagreement. A director I worked with sat across from me a few months ago and described the meeting she'd been dreading all week. Her VP was about to greenlight a project direction she believed was a mistake. She spent 3 nights preparing her counter-argument. She had data. She had stakeholder feedback. She had a slide deck she wasn't even sure she'd get to use. And she had a knot in her stomach that wouldn't go away. When I asked her what she was preparing for, she said, "I'm preparing to disagree with him." I asked her one more question. I asked what she wanted to walk out of that meeting having accomplished. And that caused her to pause for a long moment. And then she said, "I want us to make the right call. I want him to see what I'm seeing." Notice what happened there. The conversation she'd been preparing for was a disagreement. The conversation she actually wanted was an alignment. And those are 2 very different conversations, at least how we approach them. Here's what I see happen to high-performing women leaders when they walk into a room ready to disagree. They show up armored. Their tone shifts before they say a word. The other person feels it and armors right back. And what could have been a strategic conversation between 2 thoughtful leaders becomes a debate where someone has to win and someone has to lose. The cost isn't only the meeting itself. The cost is everything that comes afterwards. The relationship gets more strained. The next disagreement gets harder to surface. And over time, the leader stops raising her view at all because the energy it takes has become too great. But here's the reframe that changes so much. Most of the time, when you find yourself preparing to disagree with someone, what you are actually wanting isn't to win the disagreement. What you want is for the team to make a better decision. And that's an alignment conversation, not a confrontation. When you name the conversation correctly before you walk in, your tone changes, your language changes, and the other person's response changes with you. Reframing a disagreement as an alignment works because it shifts the goal of the conversation. When the goal is to win, both people defend their positions. When the goal is to make the best decision, both people share their thinking. Those are completely different conversations, even when the underlying issue is the same. It also works because of what it signals about you. A leader who walks in ready to fight signals that her position matters more than the outcome. A leader who walks in ready to align signals that she's invested in the work, not in being right. Senior leaders notice that distinction, and it's one of the quiet markers that separates capable contributors from people who get pulled into bigger rooms. The strategy is a 2-part language shift you can use in your very next high-stakes conversation. First, the opening phrase. Instead of leading with "I disagree" or "I see this differently," try this. "I'm tracking something different on this, and I want to surface it before we decide." Notice what that phrase does. The word tracking is observational, not oppositional. It says you're paying attention, not that you're about to argue. And surface it signals confident contribution. You're naming what you've noticed and pulling it into the room so the team can look at it together before the decision is made. You're not requesting permission to share. You're letting the room know something needs to be considered. Now, if "flag it" feels more natural to your voice, that works too. So instead of "I want to surface it before we decide," it becomes "I want to flag it before we decide." Or use another word that sounds like you. The point isn't the exact word. The point is that you're naming what you've noticed. You're putting it on the record before the room moves to a decision. And if you want an AI prompt to help you get clear on what you want to say and that sounds like you, be sure to grab the AI prompt in the show notes. All you want to be aware of as you use this AI prompt, it's not about the words as long as it carries the same weight. Second, the follow-up questions. Once you've opened the door, you need to hold it open. The question that does that work is this. Can you walk me through how you got there? That question does three things at once. It signals that you respect the other person's thinking enough to want to understand it. It often surfaces information you didn't have, which sometimes changes your view. And it almost always reveals where the actual gap is, which is the only place a real alignment conversation can happen. Before we move to your action step, here's the full strategy in one place. The opening phrase is, I'm tracking something different on this, and I want to surface it before we decide. Then the follow-up question is, can you walk me through how you got there? That's it. 2 sentences, 1 question. Okay, here is your action step this week. Identify one conversation this week where you've been preparing to disagree with someone. Maybe it's a peer, a manager, or a stakeholder. Before you walk into that conversation, ask yourself one question. And the question is, what do I want to walk out of this room having accomplished? If the answer is, I want us to make the best decision possible, then this isn't really a disagreement. It's an alignment. Walk in with that reframe, use what you heard in this episode, and notice what changes. Okay, my friend, if Monday Momentum is giving you strategies you can use right now, follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to stop navigating your leadership growth alone, book a leadership strategy call. The link is in the show notes. Let's talk about where you are, where you want to go, and what it'll actually take to get you there. Remember, the conversation you name is the conversation you create. So choose carefully. And that's a wrap. That's your Monday Momentum. I'll see you on Thursday for a deeper dive episode. Trust your voice and lead with confidence.